Washington Nationals N.A. The Washington Nationals were the first important baseball club in the nation's capital. They played part of one season or parts of two seasons in the National Association, the first professional league, so they are considered a major league team by those who count the NA as a major league. Several baseball clubs in Washington have used the historic name Nationals. The team played their home games at the Nationals grounds and the Olympics grounds. They joined the National Association of Professional Baseball Players in 1872, playing 11 games, and played 39 games in 1873. According to Baseball Reference, the franchise was named the Washington Blue Legs for the 1873 season. Following poor on-field results over that period, the team disbanded after the 1873 season. The team was revived for the 1875 season, but failed after 1 year. Pre-NA, the first team in Washington, the Potomac Club, was formed in the summer of 1859, and the Nationals were formed in November of the same year. Both teams consisted mostly of government clerks. The two teams practiced in the backyard of the White House and played each other. In the spring of 1860, the Nationals consistently lost to the superior Potomacs, but the latter disbanded on the outbreak of the Civil War while the Nationals kept playing, and by the end of the war were solidly in the esteem of Washington fans, with the club's shortstop, Slight, 20. In the summer of 1865, the Nationals invited the Philadelphia Athletics and Brooklyn Atlantics, two of the major teams of the era. They jealously guarded their amateur status by refusing all payments, including travel expenses. By 1867, the Nationals were much improved, and the new national network of railroads prompted them to do the previously unthinkable by becoming the first Eastern team to venture west of the Alleghenies. They defeated the best the locals had to offer, crushing Columbus 90-10, the Cincinnati Red Stockings 53-10, and the Cincinnati Buckeyes 88-12, beating Louisville, Indianapolis, and St. Louis as well before falling to the Rockford Forest cities with future Hall of Famer Albert Spalding 29-23. The Nats ended the road trip the next day by beating the Chicago Excelsiors 49-4. The considerable expenses of the tour were made possible by generous sponsors and by the indulgence of the Treasury Department. Washington was one of the early homes of commercialism. One writer, Thomas Henry, said the U.S. Treasury Department, as a source of patronage for good players, this department was widely exploited after the Civil War. In addition, Washington players benefited from the collection plates passed at games. By this kind of enterprise, Washington clubs were able to keep a cadre of good players and to offer excellent accommodations. In 1867, the Nationals Park was located on a field 400 feet square, surrounded by a 10-foot fence, and shaded on the north side by roofed stands. To discourage gamblers, a sign which read "Betting positively prohibited" was posted. 1872. The 1872 Nationals home games were played at Olympics grounds in Washington, D.C. They lost all 11 games before going out of business. The manager for this season is listed as either Warren White or Joe Miller. The team's leading players include 1B Paul Hines, 2B Holly Halshead, and SS Jacob Doyle. 1873. They won 8 games and lost 31. The Blue Legs were managed by Nick Young. Their top hitter was left fielder Paul Hines, who went 64 minutes 181, a batting average of 331. 1875. The 1875 NA rendition fared better, as they won 5 games and lost 23. Halshead was again their top hitting regular, though with a much lower batting average of 247. He was also one of the club's managers along with Bill Parks. The Washingtons went out of business in St. Louis, Missouri after playing the local Red Stockings on July 3 and July 4. Next day, the players announced by telegraph that a club official had absconded with the funds, but Rixet 1992-194 concludes that the tale had been planted by the players in an effort The club probably failed by unappealing play and consequent receipts too small to support travel. On the final trip, they lost 2 in Philadelphia and 5 of 6 in St. Louis. The final game was a 12-5 victory, but the two local teams outscored Washington 42-5 in the first 5 games, which must have been repelling.